My husband's friend never leaves. I just need a break.
Sounds like a party of 3 might be happening soon.
My husband and I just got into another fight because his best friend who comes over every Wednesday is again staying the night. My husband and this friend have a Wednesday night date where the guy comes over to our house to jam every week for the last 2 years. And I'm getting to the point that I want to hit the guy over the head with whatever is closest at hand every time he has around. By the way, this comes from MX. And if you want to submit your own stories, go to r/OK Storytime subreddit. So buckle up. This is going to be a long one. If you want make it through all of this, you are my hero. We will be making it through all of it. So
we're your hero.
We're heroes. At first, he was supposed to come over just for a few hours on Wednesday nights to play guitar with my husband while I was at work. Over time, I have stopped working late Wednesdays, but the jam session continues. They're jamming with each other. They're creating their jams.
Strumming that drum.
Jamming that jam, which is fine. However, for the last year, they have barely touched the guitars. What are they touching? Oh, no.
Is that code? Is the guitars code?
And instead, the guy comes over into it either. But we aren't morally against it, so we didn't say anything early on when we should have. Now that he is always on that devil's lettuce, he never leaves, and at the end of the night, he just expects to sleep over.
Interesting. Weird dynamic.
Yeah.
How's his home life?
Like, why is he going over just to smoke?
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. He's like, he smokes and just sleeps there.
That's what I'm thinking, because
it's like drinking alone when you go over to your friends.
With your friends, like, in the corner, like,
yeah.
You okay? Because, like...
Are you that friend? Riley's that friend that doesn't drink and is in the corner, is worried about it.
I've done that a lot.
He doesn't have a regular sleep schedule, so instead of sleeping while we are, he is wandering around our house all night in his boxers, making noises, watching TV, and getting non-stop text alerts from other friends, etc. At the very least, turn off your phone, dude.
Yeah. In your boxers?
In your boxers, letting the junk sway every which way. It's like man's running, and I just hear the slap.
At least put some boxer briefs on. Like,
yeah, come
please.
on. Like keep it. Leave nothing to the imagination.
Listen,
but
it's aerodynamic,
at least,
okay?
Yeah, at least you don't have to listen to it. So he's making noises, watching TV, getting nonstop text alerts. This always wakes me up, and I have to pass by him on the way to the bathroom. At these points, he always makes demands like, I want to watch this random movie your husband said you had. Find it for me. Or, you need to change your litter box right now because your cat just pooed and I can't stand the smell. Maybe you should go home.
Yeah, like...
Maybe you should go. If you don't stand the smell, there are places you could go. Like away.
Yeah, dude. This...
He always says he'll leave when my husband goes for work at 8 a.m., but then complains that he couldn't sleep until 6 a.m., so he ends up sleeping until midday, at which point he just decides to stay until my husband gets home from work, and then the whole thing starts over again.
Can we please get to the part where you speak up and say something?
Yeah, because I also think as soon as she says like some kind of boundaries, we may get some kind of sob story.
Yeah.
Because there's like why is he doing this all of a sudden? He's probably smoking, like cope with something, and he's probably being around your husband who's his friend because he's going through something, and maybe the husband hasn't put his foot down yet because he understands the context that maybe the wife doesn't have. That is my conspiracy theory, but I would love to know what you guys think.
Yeah, like why is the husband... I haven't heard anything about the husband at all. He's just
he hasn't put any boundaries. He hasn't explained anything. He's just like, I want to freaking hang.
Right, here's a lighter, bro. Have fun.
At which point he just decides to stay, and the whole thing starts over again. What's supposed to be one night a week often turns into at least 2 every week. On top of never leaving, he has started showing up hours before my husband gets off work on Wednesdays. My husband has told him, my home is your home. Mi casa, su casa. So he just comes right in. Boundaries. But no, he comes in and will just walk into our bedroom where I'm hiding. So sit down on the bed, take a hit of his crap, and start talking to me through whatever I'm doing / watching on TV.
Absolutely not. No.
Every time he is here, he eats a lot of our food, gets the munchies plus regular meals, but never once has had the courtesy to bring anything of his own or to share or to replace what he's eating here. He just goes into our fridge and pantry and eats whatever he wants because my husband told him our home was his husband.
Do you guys have like a trauma bond to like go way, way back? Do you owe him something?
Yeah, dude. Does he owe you money or something?
What?
Yeah, I wonder, not that this is on OP entirely or at all. But like, at what point, I feel like OP is saying all this and still hasn't said anything.
Yeah, where's the line? Because the line is where my bedroom starts.
Yeah, the line has been crossed so much. And OP, like, speak up for yourself. This is weird.
You're proactively hiding from him in your own bedroom. Yeah. And he barges in.
Yeah, it is like of all boundaries, your room should be the most pristine boundary that is upheld. Yeah. But he's bulldozing past that.
He didn't even knock.
He didn't even knock.
Isn't it just the worst when
you could be having some personal me time?
Yeah, go on.
Anyway, he just goes into our fridge and pantry, eats whatever he wants because my husband told him our home was his. My husband is always begging me to be nice and not say anything while he is here because he is lonely and needs friends.
Okay, go to his house.
Yeah. Also, he needs friends, plural, not friend. He needs friends that he can cycle through instead of staying at your place 2 days out of the week. He needs like 14 friends.
Agreed.
New friend circle.
New friend circle. Because he is here to live. Except he has his other best friend living with him and is constantly going on weekend trips all over the country to visit his other friends. He has friends. Not to mention those nonstop text message alerts all night. Dealing with this guy is like hanging out with a 17-year-old stoner no stop. He farts, he burps as loud as possible, wherever, whenever. He's demanding and needy, but completely rude at the same time, saying things like, dude, you actually made your house look sort of nice for the week. As I was prepping for Christmas. And so do you sometimes make an effort on your looks? Oh my God, he even said that thing.
No.
Do you sometimes make an effort on your looks?
Stop it. Stop right now.
You look.
We're
oh
done.
my
We're
God.
Done. Husband, get him out, please.
When I had gone somewhere nice and come home with makeup on, he also complains nonstop about the food I make, yet eats it all anyway. This year, for my birthday, we couldn't afford to get any gifts, so I asked my husband instead to line up his days off so we could spend 4 days just us together. Then, this guy broke up with his girlfriend, and my husband begged me to let him come over just for a bit on the first evening. Husband, you're not going to have a girlfriend or wife if you keep this up. You're just going to have your stoner friend.
If this happens, I'm packing up and going to my girlfriend's house. I'm like, I'm done. I'm going to my parents, girlfriends, don't care. I'm not spending an evening with them.
Yeah. So 2 full weeks of him not going home, and he's demanding all of my husband's time. I spent our time and my birthday. Remember the 4 days they had?
Yeah.
And my birthday holed up in our room alone.
No.
What's the husband then doing? The husband's a moron.
I mean, the husband has not set boundaries, which is despicable. It is despicable not to set boundaries. That's crazy. OP has not talked to the husband, which, the husband should be setting the boundaries for the friend.
Yeah.
For sure. That's his responsibility. But I think it's OP's responsibility to set boundaries with the husband.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. I was going to ask, who do you have a conversation with first? Like your husband or just straight?
A husband, because it's his friend. He should.
Yeah, and he keeps inviting him over.
Yeah. This is crazy. This is crazy. Well, Christmas comes. I had invited my whole family to our house and tried to make things extra special because it was the first time I got to see my parents on Christmas in more than 10 years.
Oh my God.
This guy's mom had just moved to another state, but this guy has plenty of money and no job to work around, so he could have easily made the trip to her for Christmas, but he didn't. Then his other friend/housemate also went out of town, and he threw a whole "woe is me, I'm all alone on Christmas Eve and no one loves me" tantrum until my husband invited him to our house. He shows up, gets high, and is a complete booty to everyone, then throws a fit when he decides to sleep over because he has to sleep on the couch in a sleeping bag. My family were in the other beds. The next morning, we sit down to breakfast, and he lets out this is crazy. This huge stinky fart right at the table like it's nothing. Full eye contact while doing it too. He's
dude. And then blame it on OP.
This dinner's delicious.
OP, why would you do that?
Wow, this is going right through me. Then proceeds to dish himself up 90% of the food and just generally be a My family was flat out disgusted by him and his behavior and couldn't wait to leave. He stayed for 3 days. I feel like a butthole because he is my husband's best friend and I don't want to make them not hang out. And honestly, he hasn't done anything truly terrible. He's just annoying as crap. I effing dread every Wednesday. And then I'm super irritated the whole time he's here, which I hide from him at my husband's request. So your husband knows? But then my husband and I always end up fighting over him not leaving. So there has been conversations. OP has been having conversations. Well, honestly, 1 or 2 Wednesdays Wednesdays away from unaliving this guy. And all this I've told you is just the tip of the iceberg.
What?
If you made it this far, please tell me, am I the a-hole for being upset at my husband for letting this guy stay over again tonight and wanting a substantial break from his best friend? Thank you all for our overwhelming response. I haven't been able to reply all of you, but I want you to know I've read every post and appreciate all your opinions, even the ones calling me a shrew, and your great advice. There is an update.
Really?
But what do you guys think? What do you guys think we should do here? Again, our OP's boundaries are being crossed. She has had a conversation with the husband. The husband has not had a conversation with the friend. OP hasn't had a conversation with a friend. I guess starting with, is OP the a-hole?
OP's the a-hole to herself, I think. Because I'm in the territory, I know you don't like ultimatums. I'm in the territory of ultimatum. Hey, we've agreed to have him over once a week. Well, we're going to come back to this, maybe 2 nights a week. We're going to come back to this. And if that isn't met, I'm going to stay with someone else. Because it's all bark, no bite.
Yeah. I think that I'm going to stay with someone else maybe is because I was like, oh, how can she get out of that situation, but it not be like so divorcey? And I think saying I'm going to stay with a friend or stay with a sister.
Exactly.
I feel like that would feel better. So, clarification 1. As someone pointed out, there isn't much of an action here for me to ask, am I the a-hole about? I'm sorry I didn't make it clear originally. The question is, am I unreasonable in being a butthole for wanting a break from having this friend over? No, you're not an a-hole. My husband and I fought over this last night, and he feels I'm being overly upset and needlessly irritable at said friend. You've already read how I feel about it. In clarification 2, this post admittedly doesn't give much positive about the friend. His friend has been in my husband's life since he was in grade school, and while the friend is over, they do actively chat, watch movies, and generally hang out while I actively hide and feel irritated. All this stuff for sure could look like an exaggeration if it all happened in the last few days, but this is sort of my laundry list of the last 2 years of grievances, which have been building up over time. 2 years.
Oh, dude, no.
On a regular Wednesday, he is just baked, flatulent, and childish, which, while annoying, isn't really actively. Also, let's add douchey to the list. He has done some very nice things for my husband, such as paying to take him to some very expensive concerts, and they both nerd out over their favorite guitar players live. I clearly don't like the guy, but my husband gets a lot of enjoyment out of their friendship, and I'm not just saying that he has to stop like being friends with him, just that I need a break. Also, my husband does have other friends. They just have lives, so he only gets to hang out with them once every few months. He's also in a band with other friends who he sees regularly Monday night. In clarification 3, my husband doesn't see a problem with how he speaks to me because according to him, the guy just has poor social skills. That comment about your makeup was a compliment. In clarification 4, he has a vape style pen, not a physical bud, which has less residual scent, and is why my husband told him he could do it in the house. Before he started using, I was okay with it. He had poor manners, but he wasn't nearly as bad as he is now, and he never spent the night or longer. Back before the devil's lettuce, I even enjoyed hanging out with the two of them every so often. Oh, and I know my husband also occasionally imbibes with him, which isn't something that makes me mad. He just doesn't go overboard like his friend.
Okay, so they're smoking a little bit together. After hearing these clarifications, maybe even a separation.
I don't want to move to separation yet.
No, what? Yeah.
But I do feel, we're not making a lot of great moves here.
Yeah.
Home is where the heart is, and you don't want to be stressed out in your own home.
Yeah.
Well, we got an update. So when I woke up this morning, I noticed that my phone was buzzing and buzzing and buzzing. All these awesome comments kept pouring in. I have never had so much success on Reddit. So when I looked and saw how many comments there were, oh my God. Of course, my husband asked what was wrong. And I said, I told the internet the story of blank and asked if I was the butt for what we fought over last night. And he said, oh, that was it. Then on his way out of the bedroom, he said, I'm going to get him up. By the time I was dressed and out of the room, the guy was out of the house driving away. Hallelujah. I don't know if we want to sing our praises yet because that's just one time. Is this actually going to change,
Yeah. Did he clear the house so he could have a fight with you? That's what I'm feeling.
40 minutes later, when he got to work, I received a text message telling me how I was his best friend and that he loves me more than the world, etc. And we texted back and forth. Like this is the husband saying. And he said, I really feel like we both contribute to it. I feel like you are overly grumpy on things pertaining to blank, but at the same time, I invite him to come up extra days or stay the night without running it by you. I feel we could both do better and relieve a lot of stress and frustration. Do you agree? How do we feel about that?
Having a productive conversation about the situation?
I think this is more productive. I feel
he's
like
pointing
he's
the
like
finger somewhat.
Yeah, he's like
it's on both of us.
It's on both of us.
And
I don't
I'm
know. Well, how do you guys feel about the on both of us? I don't know if
it should have been on me first.
Yeah, and then let OP say, "Oh, I'm overreacting." Don't speak
boundaries.
for her.
Yeah.
He then called a few minutes later and I told him that I know I'm grumpy, but I feel like it's reasonably so. I also told him I don't want to force them not to be friends, but I just need a break from that friend. And if you ever need a break from your friends, come be friends with us. By listening to full episodes with stories just like this, go to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or your favorite podcast app and search OK Storytime. There's another relevant update. But what do we think about this apology in quotes?
Feels manipulative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just... It doesn't.
It's the gaslighting. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to just jump into the gaslighting term, but what it does feel like is it feels like he is not fully accepting what he's done wrong, and he's pointing blame on OP, so he doesn't have to fully just apologize. It doesn't feel like if I go and say, like
it's a
Riley,
half-butted apology.
Yeah, it's like, sorry for eating your peanut butter, but you left it in a place that I was going to eat it.
And I could reach
and I think we both could do better. You can put it a little higher and I cannot eat it. It's like, that's not an apology.
That is how it sounds like.
That's not an apology.
Yeah.
Right? Then I gave him some possible solutions, such as hanging out at his house every other week or have set time that the guy needs to stop doing the devil's lettuce in order to drive home later. Thanks, guys. Great suggestions. And he agreed to consider other arrangements with a hangout time so that I could have some time away from the friend. And we agreed to talk more about it when he's off work tonight. Although I can tell he still isn't seeing a problem other than my attitude. Again, thank you to everyone who has commented. Hey! You know what? Not great, but better because of the communication. Better. It's not great, but it is better.
It's not the attitude thing. The reason you feel this way is because he's always around and he doesn't respect. I don't know. I just hope he doesn't come back as much.
Yeah.